Hi, this is Module 3 about parental rights, parental participation, and the Individualized Education Program, or IEP, for supporting dually identified students, English learners with disabilities. By the end of this module, participants will review key components of the Individuals with Disabilities Act, or IDEA, as they relate to English learner students with disabilities. Understand parent rights and participation. Explain the Individualized Education Program, or IEP development. And apply this knowledge to support practice. Let's take a look at procedural safeguards, parent rights, and parent participation. Parents shall be afforded an opportunity to inspect and review all education records, participate in all ARC meetings concerning their child, be provided with a written notice of ARC meetings, and discuss why the LEA proposes or refuses to take action. And just a reminder, notices shall be written in the language understandable to the general public and provided in the native language unless it is clearly not feasible to do so. If the native language of the parent is not a written language, the LEA shall take steps to ensure that the notice is translated orally or by other means so that the parent understands the content of the notice and that there is written evidence of the translation. Let's look at supporting parent participation. The LEA shall ensure that one or both of the parents of a child with a disability are present at each ARC meeting or are afforded the opportunity to participate. The LEA shall provide written notice to the parents of a child with a disability at least 7 days before an ARC meeting, which includes the purpose, time, location, who will be in attendance, and notice that the parents may invite people with knowledge or special expertise of the child to the meeting. The meeting shall be scheduled at a mutually agreed upon time and place, and an exception would be meetings concerning a disciplinary change in placement or a safety issue. The LEA shall send the meeting invitation, which includes that the parent may attend using other methods, like individual or conference telephone calls or a video conference. The ARC meeting may be conducted without a parent if the LEA is unable to convince the parent to attend. Attempts to arrange mutually agreed upon time and place should be documented. This would include detailed records of telephone calls made or attempted and results of those calls, copies of correspondence sent to the parents, and any responses received, detailed records of visits to the parent's home or place of employment and the results of those visits. Kentucky districts must provide free translation and interpreter services, regardless of the child's English proficiency. Schools may not rely on children, sibling, or untrained school staff to interpret. Interpreters must be competent, especially when communicating about legal or complex topics like special education. And that's found in 707 KAR 1-320. Let's look at the IEP. The child's IEP is accessible to all teacher and service providers who are responsible for its implementation. Prior to the implementation, each implementer is informed of their specific responsibilities related to implementing the child's IEP. The special accommodations, modifications, and supports are provided for the child in accordance with the IEP. Other contents include, but are not limited to, the strengths of the child, concerns of the parents, evaluation results, general state or district-wide assessment results, the academic, developmental, and functional needs of the child, strategies including positive behavioral intervention, strategies and supports to address that behavior if appropriate. In the case of a child with an LEP, consider the language needs of the child as those needs relate to the child's IEP. If the child who is deaf or hard of hearing, consider the child's language and communication needs. Student performance data is documented in the present level section of the IEP and comes from a variety of sources, including but not limited to IEP progress monitoring data, data from evidence-based interventions, integrated assessment reports, diagnostic assessments, classroom-based assessments and work samples, criterion reference tests, data collected from multiple observations, state and district-wide assessment results with age and grade comparisons, and English Learner Program Services Plan, or PSP. Let's take a look at dual services. Both services are required under federal and state law, specially designed instruction within the IEP under IDEA, and English language development, instruction, and supports under the EL Program Service Plan, or PSP. ARC meetings must address both sets of these needs. The regulation requires ARC teams to develop an IEP that meets all needs stemming from the disability. For ELs, ARC should consider language needs. And just a reminder that limited English proficiency cannot be treated as a disability, and disability cannot excuse failure to provide language services. So what does this mean for my district? For districts, this means ensuring meaningful parent participation at every stage of identification, evaluation, placement, and IEP development. Districts must provide timely written notice, translated when needed, and document efforts to include parents if they cannot attend. Every EL student with a disability must have a compliant IEP that addresses both language and disability-related needs. And districts must ensure that EL services are not lost when special education begins. IEPs must also be accessible to all staff responsible for implementation. And what does this mean for students and their families? For students and families, this ensures full procedural protections and meaningful involvement in ARC decisions. Parents have the right to receive written notice and explanations of proposed or refused actions, receive procedural safeguards annually, and a right to request an independent educational evaluation. Students must receive both special education and EL services, and IEP decisions cannot be based on limited English proficiency. ARC teams must consider language-related and social factors when developing IEPs. And finally, how can we utilize these regulations to improve student outcomes? Districts can improve outcomes by strengthening family engagement through clear, proactive communication and consistent use of interpreters and translated materials. Immediate implementation of IEPs after ARC meetings help reduce service gaps. Using English language proficiency data, native language consideration, and EL specialist input leads to more accurate goals and supports. Strong collaboration between EL and special education staff improves IEP quality and student outcomes. As we come to a close, take a moment and consider these questions. What new action could your district take to ensure EL families can participate fully in every ARC meeting? What is one way your district can make sure IEPs are more linguistically and responsive for EL students with disabilities? If you could enhance one district-level practice tomorrow to improve outcomes for EL students with disabilities, what would that be? The following resources may be helpful. For more information, please visit the English Learners with Disabilities website. Thank you for listening to this module. We hope this has been beneficial.